hate the word healthy. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
Trust me, man, I'm on my own steadily. Can't lose the game, it's mine readily. Look at how it's played, divine, heavenly. Can't shame me, dog, it's mine pedigree. What you telling me, dog?
Today we're talking about 3 different terms or different words that we as a society have learned to abuse and take advantage of to use them to our benefit when we shouldn't, and because of that they are slowly destroying us. We're going to start with the word healthy. Now, when we talk about these words, I'm not using the literal textbook definition of the word. I'm using the sort of modern day, sort of general, everybody knows and understands the actual definition of the word. So healthy essentially means without disease or illness. That's all it means, nothing more, nothing less. So you could be extremely overweight, you could be 100 pounds overweight, and as long as you don't have the flu or a broken leg, essentially, technically, you're healthy. So let's talk about why and how that could be such a bad definition, how and why we're abusing it, and what we can do to stop. So there's nothing inherently wrong with the word healthy. It's people's interpretations of those words, of those definitions, that become the problem. Because if you're 100 pounds overweight and you're healthy, guess what happens next? Human nature takes over. You start making excuses. Because if you're already technically healthy, why should you eat healthy foods in a healthy way? Why should you exercise, put yourself through that if you're already technically healthy? So let's play that scenario through to the end. Let's say that you're healthy for 60 plus years. Let's say you get to about age 64 and you never have any real permanent injuries or illnesses, but you are significantly overweight and you've been that way this entire time. First of all, the reason I know this is going to happen, including to you, is because I saw it happen hundreds of times with my own eyes in my own experience. I grew up living in a senior citizens housing complex. I saw what people's physical lives were like at the end of their lives. One day you're gonna wake up and you're not gonna be healthy anymore. You're gonna have some kind of health issue. Even if it's not bad yet, you will have a significant issue to the point where you are no longer comfortable. What happens from there is a progressive decline in your health until it gets to the point where you go to the doctor. The doctor says, okay, you have, X, Y, and Z health problems now, serious health problems. I'm gonna put you on a bunch of medication. At which point, let's say you even out, you level out. Now you're in a plateau, you're in a valley of discomfort from where you used to be. It's not like you start taking these medications and magically you're fine again. No, you are never fine again. You have regressed and now you are at a level where your health is going to, at the very least, you will have daily discomfort at the very least. Your health will never get any better than that. It's just reached a point where it's not currently regressing any further. And then at some point, those medications can only do so much for so long until it's the end of your life. And that end of your life will come years before it should have, had you chosen to actually be healthy, live a actual healthy lifestyle, instead of saying, I'm significantly overweight, but I'm technically healthy, so I'll just continue this completely unhealthy lifestyle. That is what is going to happen to you. You are no exception. Yes, statistically, percentage-wise, there are people who are born with, super great genetics, DNA, where they can be the people who live to 98 years old and they smoke cigarettes and drink liquor every day, and it's like, that's what's keeping me young and alive. No, that's not you. That's very rare. It doesn't apply to you. And I know some of you are out there saying, okay, well then, when I hit that first, 64-year-old health problem, when I have that first health scare for the first time in my life that I'm not healthy, that's when I'll start eating healthily. That's when I'll start exercising. that's when I'll turn it all around. I'll make myself healthy once I hit that first unhealthy milestone. So let me get this straight. You lived 60 plus years, 6+ decades, making terrible, bad decisions for your health. And then at the first sign of bad health problems, now you're gonna start making good decisions. You're gonna change everything just like that in your 60s? How doable does that seem to you? How sustainable does it seem to you? It is not. But you could have avoided all that if you would just stop using the technical definition of healthy and making excuses to make bad decisions. The second term that we abuse in order to use an excuse to make bad decision is mental health. And ooh, what a touchy subject this is. It used to go like this. Back in the day, the 60s, 70s, maybe into the 80s, right? If you were having a bad day, someone would come up to you and ask you what's wrong. You would say, I'm having a bad day. And they would say, oh, that sucks. I feel bad that you're having a bad day. Hopefully you'll feel better tomorrow, but for like right now, you got to get back to work. The reason we did that is because back then, and I don't care how old and crotchety this makes me sound, back then we had a higher standard, better expectations for people, especially for adults. At some point in the 90s and definitely in the 2000s, at some point you would tell somebody you were having a bad day and somebody said something along the lines of, oh man, I sympathize with you, I empathize with you, I know what it's like to have a bad day. I wish that when I was having a bad day, someone would have said to me, man, you know what, go ahead, take the rest of the day off, have a me day, have a mental health day, and come back when you're fresh, come back when you're ready, come back when you feel better, when you're more yourself. Essentially saying, I know you're not capable of being well, having a good day today, you're incapable of that, so I'll let you go be incapable until you are. Sympathizing, empathizing with you so that you get away with saying, I can't do it today. And then when other people found out that you were able to take the day off, you were allowed to have that bad day and you know just not require anything better or more of yourself. When other people found out about that, then it was a snowball effect. People realized, oh, I can get away with having a bad day and using that to not do my best at school or work that day. The more people that found out, the more people that did it. And now we're to a point where mental health means if I'm anxious about anything, if I have any kind of depression about anything, you better not confront me about it. You better not call me about it. You better not question me about it. You better empathize with me, because if you don't, then you are a judgmental monster. And unlike any kind of physical condition, mental and emotional problems can't really be measured. They can't really be determined one way or another if they actually exist, which is great to use for an excuse because you can't really be proven wrong. So instead of going through the effort of actually getting your act together, now you can just use the excuse, anxiety, depression, overall mental health. I have to be treated with exemption. You have to make an exemption for me, treat me special because I'm having a mental health problem, and you have to believe me, you have to empathize with me, you have to let me get away with it. Think about it like this. How many people do you know who actually have physical, not mental or emotional, but physical ailments, disabilities, illnesses? Unless you're like a doctor or you have some kind of family who has genetic problems like that. If you're just an average person, you probably know one or two people here or there who actually have some kind of physical problem. So if it's that rare in physical form for people to have that kind of disability, what makes us think that it's so universally prevalent now in mental and emotional health? That's because it's not. Yes, there are some people here and there who are the rare exception who actually do have mental and or emotional disorders. But most people don't. Most people are in control of what they think and how they behave. But it's difficult to do that sometimes, and instead of getting their act together, it's easier to cop out and use the excuse of mental health. The last term I want to touch on is the word fat, because y'all have destroyed the actual meaning of this word. Fat just means overweight. And the modern day, meaning that is obvious to everyone means overweight, to the point where just by looking at you, we can see that you're clearly overweight. That's all that fat means. It does not mean bad or disgusting or stupid or you don't deserve love or you don't have any value. It doesn't mean any of those things. But what y'all do is, instead of taking the actual definition of the word and internalizing it, y'all add emotion, negative emotion to the definition, if not completely replacing the definition altogether. And then whenever anyone uses the word fat, or God forbid, recognizes you as fat, instead of actually paying attention to what it means, you internalize it as they think I'm bad, negative in some way. Thus is born the excuse of, well, if I'm fat, if I'm invaluable, if I'm not worthy of love, if I'm disgusting already, then what's the point? Why should I try? Why should I try to eat healthily? Why should I exercise if I'm already fat, if I already don't matter? The problem being, of course, fat doesn't mean any of those things. You are making a mistake. You're the one making the mistake. You're the one internalizing that word, adding emotion to it that is not there. You're doing it. It is your mistake. And you might say, well, come on. I was bullied, okay? People made me feel terrible for being overweight when I was younger. I got bullied into thinking this way. Okay, that makes sense, right? It makes sense. People are bullies. They bully you. It's something that happens to a lot of people all the time. Probably happened to you when you were younger, when you were a kid, right? Understandable. Problem is, you're an adult now, right? You're supposed to be intelligent, rational, reasonable. So, you let stupid people say stupid things to you back in the day, and now, as an adult, you still internalize that as something it is not. What does that make you? If you're making that mistake to this day voluntarily, what does that make you? When someone uses the word fat, you attach emotion to it that does not exist. And then you use that as an excuse to say, why should I better myself? Why should I try if I'm already a bad person? Nobody said you were a bad person. They just said you were overweight. You could probably use losing a little bit of weight. That doesn't mean you're bad or any other negative term or emotion. It just means you're overweight. Stop putting emotion there, changing the definition where you don't need to. So if you made it this far in the video and you're actually still here, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, tough guy, you know it all. What should I do then? If I'm using taking definitions and twisting them in order to make excuses for myself so I can make bad decisions, what should I do instead? My answer to that is, okay, since you love emotion so much and you love introducing emotion into stuff that's not supposed to be there in the first place, how about you try this emotion? How about you try shame? Feeling shame, being ashamed. But I'm not talking about today's modern version of ashamed. I'm talking about old school ashamed. Shame that had a purpose and actually worked. See, back in the day, when someone would shame someone, when they would see someone partaking in an irrational behavior, and then they would shame them and say, what are you doing? Do you see what you're doing? Stop behaving like that. That person would then be ashamed, feel shame. But the purpose of that shame was so that you could feel it, first of all, and to know and internalize that you deserved to be shamed. And then when you feel that shame, you recognize that it sucks and you don't ever want to feel it ever again. And so, because you're intelligent, you would figure out ways to improve, make changes into your life, to your behavior, so that you could stop feeling that shame and then never have to feel it again. You would make whatever changes needed to be made, mental, emotional, whatever, you would make those changes, those improvements, so that you would stop feeling the shame and never ever feel it again. That's why back in the day, people shamed people, because it worked and they wanted better for them. The only other people that shamed people were bullies. People who were trying, their goal was not for that person to get better, do better, but just to make them feel bad. Those were bullies. Bullies have always existed. And I am not here to bully you. I'm not trying to bully you. What kind of a waste of a time would that be for me to try to bully a stranger that I don't know, I will never meet? The gratifying part of bullying is like you bully somebody and then you see them, you experience them have a meltdown. I can't do that with you, therefore I am not bullying you, I am not trying to bully you. That would be a waste of both of our times. But I do completely believe in shame, and if you use it properly, you can use it to better yourself. But don't revert to today's modern version of shame, which is I feel shame and that's it. I'm ashamed of my bad decisions, my bad behavior. Because of that, now I have to get depressed, stay depressed. Feeling shame, being ashamed is supposed to suck, and then you're supposed to work, earn your way out of it by improving yourself. Not wallowing in your self-pity. If you don't know how to go about making those improvements, if you don't know where to start, that's fine. Just try. Try anything. Effort is better than wallowing in your self-pity. Try, fail, try again, get better. Do it over and over again until you figure it out. You're intelligent, rational, and reasonable. You're supposed to be able to do that, so do it and get better. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you stuck around this long, thank you. I know that this was not a fun video, but I do think everything I said is completely true. If you think this video is going to be helpful to you or someone else in some kind of way, please subscribe to the channel and share this video with those people. Also, please hit that thanks button. When you do, all of your comments below, they all get highlighted and it directly supports the channel. So for anybody who does do that, does hit that thanks button, know I genuinely appreciate it. As always, like, share, comment, hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever any of the videos go live on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next week.
Don't you see that greatness arrived when we die with the greats in the sky? In a time when you chasing the prize, look alive with your face to the vine. Hands up, never losing hope, not unusual when you know who you know. I'm at war with friend, foes, and few who don't. Trying to go from bench ropes to cue the glow. They will never stop by a holler, not my problem. We've been working all night trying to top our dollar. The way that we grind, we should pop our collar. We can't lose or stop, get louder. Let's go!